Good afternoon and welcome back to the last accredited investor virtual expo for 2022. I want to start off by thanking our speakers, sponsors, media partners, and most importantly, our viewers for joining us today. Now, for a quick reminder for the best experience, please make sure your computer resources are freed up by closing programs you're not using. And if you're experiencing any troubleshooting issues, please refer to the frequently asked questions by clicking on the question mark at the top of the virtual platform. Now, with that being said, we do want our audience to know that we will be starting a new show in February. It will be in person in New York for accredited investors. So head over to moneyshow.com to check out more information. And I will be posting our client relations number if you would like to call us for more information. With that being said, I am very excited to introduce our speaker for the session, Tom Hegna, who is an author, speaker, economist, and as a former senior executive officer at New York Life, retired lieutenant colonel, and popular industry expert. Mr. Hegna has delivered over 5,000 seminars helping baby boomers and seniors retire the optimal way. For any of our live viewers, please type any questions you may have in the live chat box. Time permitting, we will be taking some of your questions at the end of the presentation. With that being said, Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. The floor is all yours.
Thank you. I'm coming to you live from the Phoenix, Arizona area. I got to get right into my presentation because this is normally an hour presentation. I'm condensing it into 30 minutes. So as I have said, I've written 5 books on retirement. My first book is a book by the name of Paychecks and Playchecks. And I will tell you, I'm a reluctant author. Never wanted to write a book, didn't dream of writing a book. It wasn't on my bucket list. So why'd I write a book? Well, here's why. Because right now, if you talk to 50 different financial advisors and ask them how you're supposed to retire, what your retirement portfolio is supposed to look like, you know what you're going to get? You're going to get 50 different opinions of what you ought to do. Well, isn't that interesting? See, retirement's been studied in depth by PhDs all over the world. People like Dr. David Babel of Wharton, Dr. Moshe Milevsky of Toronto, Dr. Menachem Yari of Israel, Nobel Prize recipients like Dr. William Sharp, Dr. Robert C. Merton. Well, guess what? I've read the research. And you know what the research says? There are not 50 optimal ways to retire. There's really one optimal way to retire, and that's not my opinion. It's based on mathematical, scientific, and economic facts. So I'm not going to be giving you my opinions, and I don't sell any financial products whatsoever. I'm a speaker and an author full time. If I had to summarize Paychecks and Playchecks, I'd summarize it this way. What day of the week do you spend the most money? What day of the week you go golf and you go to Home Depot, get your nails done, get your hair done? For most people, that day is Saturday. Well, guess what? The day you retire, every day is Saturday. So you're not just going to want to have paychecks, you got to have some playchecks or you're never going to enjoy your retirement. I'm going to share with you today how to really get the most out of retirement. So I gave the Paychecks and Playchecks talk down in San Diego at an industry meeting about maybe 8 years ago. And there was somebody there from PBS, public television. And they said, Tom, we need to take this message out to the American people. They're getting the wrong message from all these other talking heads on TV. But we don't know if they'll really understand this paycheck and playcheck thing. We would need a simpler title. So I wrote another book. It's called Don't Worry, Retire Happy, because I think everybody can understand that. And this is now played on PBS in over 80 million homes in the US and Canada. I hope you saw it. If you didn't, it's okay. You're going to get it live right now. So here are the 7 simple steps I've shared with the American and Canadian people on how to retire happy and successful, based in math and science, not based on some broker's opinion. Step number 1, you got to have a plan. I mean, how can you get anywhere if you don't have a roadmap or GPS or a plan of how to get there? And with this, I say you've got to work with a financial professional. Retirement is not a do-it-yourself project. Look, I'll bet you don't do your own dental work in your garage with your drill set. And I don't think you ought to be doing your own retirement planning either. Step number 2, I want you to understand and maximize your Social Security benefits. For most Americans, Social Security is the largest retirement asset they have. And yet they spend more time planning their summer vacation than learning how to get the most of those valuable benefits. Step number 3, I strongly encourage you to consider a hybrid retirement. That's what I'm doing. By the way, I'm 75% retired. I'm not just talking the talk. I'm walking the walk, and I'm going to share some of the things that I'm doing as well. Step number 4, you've got to protect your savings from inflation. You know, for 40 years, inflation was dead. Well, it's not dead anymore. And we're going to talk about that. That leads us right into step number 5, the importance of securing more retirement income. See, the success of your retirement is not about your assets. It's not about the size of your 401k or the value of your house. The success of your retirement has everything to do with income and risk management. And that's what we're going to talk about in step number 5. Step number 6, you must have a plan for long-term care. No retirement plan is complete without a plan for long-term care. This is the number one thing most people forget about that can wipe out their entire life's work. We're going to talk about it. Step number 7, use your home equity wisely. For many of you, your house is one of the largest assets you have. I'll share with you some ideas around that. And then I'm going to wrap up with the most efficient way to pass your wealth to children, grandchildren, and charities. You're going to hear me say this: don't leave your kids any money. And I mean it. You're not supposed to leave them any money. You're supposed to spend your money. Leave them life insurance, because you can do that for pennies on the dollar. What I'm going to share with you today is how to get the most for the least in retirement, because that's what it's all about. There's no dress rehearsal. There's no second chance. We got to get it right the first time. And that's what I'm going to help you with today. So let's get going. Step number 1, you got to have a plan. The Hartford puts it this way: those who plan for retirement are 3 times more likely to be confident they will have sufficient income in retirement as compared to those who've not planned. Now, part of planning means sitting down with a financial advisor. They're going to ask you questions, but you need to ask them some questions too. And a couple of questions you want to have right out the gate. Number 1, what do I need my retirement income to do? And then maybe just as important, maybe more important, what do I want my retirement income to do? Well, the first one is pretty simple, because for all of us, it's the same answer. Our retirement income needs to cover our basic living expenses, our house, our food, our clothing, our cell phone, our internet. I call that the paycheck. And what math and science demands is that paycheck should be covered with guaranteed lifetime income. So that is not where stocks fit. That is not where bonds fit. That is not where real estate fits. That's where guaranteed lifetime income fits, to at least cover those basic living expenses. But then what do I want my retirement income to do? That's the paycheck. That's the travel. That's the cruises. That's the fun stuff. And all those other investments are appropriate right there. But if the truth were told, many of your friends, maybe your own parents, are not fully enjoying their retirements. And you all know people like this. They're in their 60s, they're in their 70s, they got plenty of money. Many of them don't even touch it. You know, when I was an advisor, I used to bust my clients. I'd say, wait a minute now, you told me when you're retired, you're going to join the country club, you're going to buy a new boat, you're going to go see the world. Have you done that yet? You know what people say? No, the market's so volatile, Bitcoin crashed. They're living what I call a just-in-case retirement. And here's what it looks like. They don't touch their money, and they don't touch their money, and they don't touch their money, and they don't touch their money. Then they die. What happens to money? Goes to kids. What do the kids do with it? Oh, they join the country club, they buy a new boat, and they go see the world. Look, I want to make something very clear today. I want you to join the country club. I want you to see the world. I do not want you to live a just-in-case retirement. And in step number 5, I'm going to show you exactly how you can avoid living that just-in-case retirement. Step number 2, I want you to understand and maximize your Social Security benefits. If I'd ask you, what is the largest asset most of your friends have? You think it's their pension? Nah, today it's probably their 401k. Well, it might be their house. Or is it their Social Security benefit? For the vast majority of Americans, it's their Social Security benefit. If you're single, your Social Security benefit can pay over $500,000. If you're married, it can pay you well over $1 million. Yet people spend more time planning that summer vacation than learning how to get the most of these valuable benefits. Now, I don't have time to give a full-blown Social Security maximization webinar, but here's what I will tell you. On the screen, you'll see the letters FRA. That stands for full retirement age. On the screen, it's age 66. For me, it's age 67. For some of you, it's between 66 and 67. But you can see that if you wait to your full retirement age, for every $1,000 a month that you get, if you took that early at 62, you're not getting $1,000. You're only going to get $750. But if I could get you to wait a few more years to age 70, you're also not going to get $1,000. You're going to get $1,320. Look, it's so important to understand that the breadwinner should delay. So if you have a husband and wife, and let's say the husband made more money in his career than the wife can claim early. I don't have a problem with that. But the higher earning spouse, in this case, the husband, should wait till 66 or 70. Why? Because that check covers both lives. See, when she dies, which check does she get? She gets his. If he took his early, he locked her into a lower survivor benefit. So I have a whole free YouTube channel. If you want to learn more about Social Security, I can do it there. But my whole point here is this. Before you make the number one most important retirement decision of your life, which I would argue is a Social Security start date, sit down with your financial advisor, have them run a Social Security calculator, have them show you what it is if you take it early, what it is if you delay, and how this can impact your retirements by hundreds of thousands of dollars over both your lifetimes. All I'm asking is that you make an educated decision on this all-important retirement decision. Step number 3, I strongly encourage you to consider a hybrid retirement. That's what I'm doing. I'm 75% retired, but I'm still doing some work, because if I could get you to work a couple of extra years, even part-time, I can increase your success in retirement significantly. Why? Because you can have increased earnings, increased savings, increased Social Security benefits, and I can keep you from tapping into that portfolio for a couple of years. The best article I've ever read on this subject was published a few years ago. Here's what it says. There's no saving you could possibly do that would affect your retirement resources as dramatically. You can change your savings rate from 6% to 26%, and it still won't have as much power as working a few extra years. And if you save 1% more for your final 10 years of work, that would be the equivalent to working about 1 month longer. There is very little I can do to help you retire more successfully than to encourage you to work for a couple of extra years. Step number 4, you've got to protect your savings from inflation. This shows $10,000 of purchasing power at 4%. Inflation will be cut by more than 50% in 20 years. It'll be cut by more than 2/3 in 30 years. And you can see if inflation stayed at 6% or 8% or 10%, it devastates retirement portfolio. So what I'm telling you is you don't just want to have income for the rest of your life. You want to figure out how you're going to have increasing income for the rest of your life. Now, there's several ways to do it. I own 11 annuities. All right. I don't sell them, but I buy them. I own 11 of them. Some start at age 60, some start at age 62, some start at age 65, some start at age 70, some start whenever I want, but I am guaranteed to have increasing income for the rest of my life. There are other annuities that every year automatically will increase that payment by 3 or 4 or 5%. If you don't like annuities, you can invest in the market, or you should at least have an annuity cover your basic living expenses, but then you can invest the rest into stocks and real estate and commodities, things that typically go up in times of inflation. Look, I don't care how you do it. I just want to make sure you have increasing income for the rest of your life. And that leads us right into step number 5, maybe the most important step. You need to secure more guaranteed lifetime income. Time Magazine puts it this way: securing at least a base level of lifetime income should be every retiree's priority, at least if they want to live happily ever after. And I will tell you that lines up exactly with what the PhDs who study retirement say, that you should cover your basic living expenses in retirement with guaranteed lifetime income. Now, there are 3 sources of guaranteed lifetime income. The first source is Social Security. Well, I just talked about Social Security. But let me ask you a question. What is Social Security? It's a lifetime income annuity. It's a guaranteed paycheck for life, so it counts. The second source is a pension. But let me ask you a question. What is a pension? It's a lifetime income annuity. It's a guaranteed paycheck for life, so it counts. So what you do is you calculate what are your basic living expenses. You subtract out your Social Security, subtract out your pension, whatever's left, that's where you need to go find an insurance company and buy some form of lifetime income annuity. Now, look, I speak all over the world. I have people say, well, I don't like annuities. You know, the fees are too high. Do you realize that most annuities are not even fee products? A single premium immediate annuity is not a fee product. If you're guaranteed $2,000 a month for the rest of life, that's exactly what you're going to get. A deferred income annuity is not a fee product. A fixed annuity is not a fee product. A base fixed indexed annuity is not a fee product. Most RILAs, registered index linked annuities, are not fee products. There are only 2 types of annuities that even have fees. Variable annuities have fees and some optional riders. But if you don't want to pay fees, just tell your advisor, I want to have guaranteed lifetime income, but I don't want to pay a fee. There are thousands of those out there on the marketplace today. See, when you retire, a lot of people think it's about how much money they have. They got $1 million or $2 million. Successful retirement is not about your assets. Your assets can be lost. They can be stolen. They can be swindled. They can be sued. They can be divorced. They can be decimated in a market crash. The success of your retirement really has everything to do with income. And I would argue guaranteed lifetime income. So the ultimate success that you're going to have in retirement is going to depend on your answers to my next 2 questions. Question number 1, how much guaranteed lifetime income do you have? Notice I didn't ask you, what was your rate of return on your investments last year? Did you outperform the S&P 500? No, far more important to retirement, how much guaranteed lifetime income do you have? And question number 2, have you taken the key retirement risks off the table? See, your answers to those 2 simple questions will determine the ultimate success of your retirement. Now, there's a lot of risks in retirement. There's market risk. We've sure seen that. There's withdrawal rate risk. You take out too much money, it'll eventually run out. Sequence of returns risk. I don't have time to get into it, but here's the deal. If you retire into a bear market, you're highly likely to run out of money. If you retire into a bull market, you're highly likely to be successful. And all it is good luck or bad luck. Don't have your retirement depend on good luck or bad luck. You know, they're going to raise your taxes. I've been moved. I've converted almost all of my IRA and 401ks to Roth, and most of them are in income annuity. So I'm going to have tax-free income, increasing tax-free income for the rest of my life. I've been moving more of my personal wealth into cash value life insurance. Why? Because I get tax-free income for the rest of my life out of that. You see, I don't think people realize that when the national debt is 31 trillion and we have 172 trillion of unfunded obligations, what that means. You see, here's why it's a problem. 31 trillion at 1% interest is only $310 billion. We can handle that interest as a country. But if interest 5%, that's $1.5 trillion. And we know it's not going to stay at 31 trillion. At 50 trillion, it's $2.5 trillion. The entire defense budget is only 800 billion. The entire Social Security budget is only 952 billion. Soon, our interest on our debt is going to be more than defense and Social Security combined. And that is why Powell keeps raising these rates. He has to break inflation. He's got to raise them so inflation breaks and then they can lower them. Because if interest rates stay high, I don't know what we're going to do as a country, but I do know this, taxes are going up. So I am having as much increasing tax-free income as possible. You might need long-term care. You might die. There are a lot of risks in retirement. But there's only one number one risk. So take a look at that list. Which of those risks is hands down? Nothing's even close. The number one risk in retirement is longevity risk. But why? It's because longevity is not just a risk. It's a risk multiplied by all the other risks. The longer you live, the more likely the market will crash. The longer you live, the more you'll take out too much money. The longer you live, the more likely you'll see inflation. The more likely they raise your taxes. The more likely you're going to need long-term care. And so with the PhDs who studied retirement, and they are unanimous in saying this, to retire optimally, you must take longevity risk off the table. In fact, if you get nothing else on my first 15 minutes, get that. You must take longevity risk off the table. Well, guess what? Stocks can't do that. Bonds can't do that. Real estate can't do that. Bitcoin cannot do it. Okay, well, what can do it? It's a pretty short list. A lifetime income annuity can do it. A deferred income annuity can do it, or an income or withdrawal benefit rider from a fixed index, or variable annuity can do it. That is it. What do all those products have in common? One word, annuity. What all the research I can find from the top PhDs in the world says this: to retire optimally, you should put an annuity into that portfolio. Why? Because only an annuity can take longevity risk off the table. Why? Because only a life insurance company can issue an annuity. Why? Because only a life insurance company sells life insurance to be on the other side of that risk. What's the risk to an insurance company when somebody buys a life insurance policy? What's the risk? That they die. They buy $1 million term policy, bam, the next day they get hit by a bus. The insurance company's out $1 million. The guy died too soon. Hey, what's the risk to an insurance company when somebody buys a lifetime income annuity? That they live too long. She's 115 and she won't quit breathing, and every month she's breathing, those checks got to go. Because an insurance company is on both sides of the mortality and longevity risk scale, they can neutralize mortality and longevity risk to themselves and to you. See, when you buy a lifetime income annuity, what you're buying is a guaranteed paycheck or a guaranteed paycheck for life. Now, what do the experts have to say about this? Well, let's take a look. Dr. Menachem Yair, back in the 1960s, proved that only a lifetime income annuity can optimize income over the indefinite period of a human life. So you don't know how long you're going to live. I don't know how long I'm going to live. The insurance company doesn't know how long each one of us, but they know how long 1,000 of us will live. And so they can pay us as if they knew exactly when we're going to die, because each one of us will get that paycheck every month for the rest of our lives, no matter how long that is. Dr. David Babel of Wharton, the income annuity should cover 100% of your basic living expenses. Dr. Michael Finke, PhD, the list of economists who support using annuities to provide retirement income includes some of the most prominent in the world, among whom are Nobel Prize recipients like Dr. William Sharpe, like Dr. Robert C. Merton. Here's Dr. Michael Finke, Dr. Wade Pfau, two of the smartest PhDs in the world studying retirement. If the reason you save for retirement was to provide a secure lifestyle, there's no more efficient way to create lifetime income than through an annuity. Purchasing an income annuity portion, and that's all we've ever said, a portion of retirement savings can provide a higher potential for success, greater legacy wealth over the long term, and increased risk. Income annuities are less expensive and safer for risk-averse retirees whose primary goal is income security in retirement. BlackRock, they do trillions in the stock market. They say many guaranteed income products can ensure that the stream of income from a given amount of savings will not run out or be diminished by market returns. Dr. Michael Fink and Wade Pfau again, annuities allow a retiree to spend at a level that would otherwise require a high risk of failure if funded solely from an investment portfolio. Morningstar just came out today and they raised the safe withdrawal rate from 3.3% to 3.8%. Well, I'm going to show you can get much higher payout rates than that in a lifetime income annuity. Certainty provides confidence. This is one of the reasons that retirees who've incorporated income annuities into their retirement planning report higher levels of satisfaction. Dr. Roger Ibbotson, he did a whole study where he studied a 60% stock, 40% bond portfolio versus a 60% stock, 40% indexed annuity portfolio. You know what he found? The annuity outperformed the bonds for the last 40 years and is likely to do so for the next 40 years. The easiest way for anybody to get into the annuities, just replace your bonds with annuities. That's the simplest way to do it. So 20 to 40% for the average client would be appropriate in some type of income annuity. BlackRock, again, retiring with confidence, a case for fixed indexed annuities in accumulation. Barclays, you don't think they're an annuity producer. They show that fixed index annuities compare favorably to bonds. Ernst & Young did a whole study on 100 to invest your money, 100% stock, 90% stock, 10% bond, 80, 20, 70, 30, 60, 40, 50, 50. And then they went back and they added some permanent life insurance and deferred income annuities. And guess what they found? The permanent life insurance and deferred income annuities with increasing income potential outperform investment-only approaches in our analysis. These aren't my words. This is Ernst & Young. Even the Wall Street Journal said there's a case for replacing some of your bonds with annuities. Tommy's not making this stuff up. Look at, these are the highest guaranteed payout rates I've seen since the early 2000s. You know, why would an 85-year-old have money in the stock market when they can be guaranteed 16% a year for the rest of their life? They can put a cash refund guarantee that if they die early, their family gets the rest of the money. They get almost 12%. Look, these are some of the highest payouts. And you say, well, that just sounds too good to be true. No, it's not, because every check you get from an income annuity is composed of three parts. Part number one is principal. That's the orange box. Anybody can give you principal. Part number two is interest or investment gain. Anybody can give you that. But the third ingredient is the secret sauce that you can only get from a life insurance company, that in this book I call mortality credits, and in this book I call longevity credits. It's the same thing. It's extra money from the risk pool the older you are and the longer you live. And if you don't have any of these mortality or longevity credits in your retirement portfolio, math and science will prove that that portfolio is suboptimal, less than what it could or should be. Now, this is how it works in a single premium immediate annuity, a deferred income annuity, or if you annuitize any contract. That's how it works. But if you buy a fixed indexed annuity or a variable annuity with an income rider, then it's different. Here's how that works. Client puts in $100,000. They let it grow for a while. Then they turn on the income benefit. Well, first the interest comes out. That's taxable. Then the principal comes out, not taxable, unless it's an IRA or 401k rollover. But even if the account's zero, did the check stop? No, the checks continue for the rest of your life. What are paying those checks? The mortality credits. Now, math and science is very important to me, but there's something more important to you, and I call it the happy factor. So when I do seminars, I always ask people, when you retire, do you want to be happy or unhappy? They say happy. I say, you don't sound like it. Do you want to be happy or unhappy? They say happy. I say, that's good, because the Wall Street Journal discovered the secret to a happy retirement is friends, neighbors, and a fixed annuity. Time magazine found the same thing in Great Britain. Lifetime income stream key to retirement happiness. A new study in the land of grumps reveals that retirees with a guaranteed lifetime income stream can find true happiness. Think about it. Who are the happiest retired people you know? I bet it's your retired teachers, retired military, retired government, retired firefighter, retired policeman. It's people with pensions. See, happiness in retirement is tied almost 100% to guaranteed lifetime income, not assets. Who are the most miserable people you know? They're loaded. They got assets out the wazoo, but they're losing money here. They're losing money here. They're losing money here. Assets make people miserable in retirement. What makes people happy is guaranteed lifetime income. The American college, when clients know how much income they will receive every month for life, they know what kind of housing and activities they can afford, allowing them to choose the lifestyle that makes them the happiest. See, I relate with this one the most. We've got a house here in the Phoenix area. We got a house up in Flagstaff in the summer, so we get out of the heat. I get to play golf, but I couldn't join a country club for 30 years because I spent 200 days a year on the road traveling doing this. Okay. Now I'm members at 2 country clubs. I play golf 4 to 5 times a week. I play pickleball 2 days a week. I'm having that time of my life. It's like I'm at summer camp or something. And I want that for everybody. Now, look, some of you follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you don't, you sure can. I post a lot of fun stuff. I recently posted a Freakonomics study. This is it was actually a University of Chicago study that studied people who bought lifetime income annuities versus people who didn't. You know what they found? The people that bought the lifetime income annuities lived longer than the people that didn't. Here's what the research shows. Research shows that people who buy annuities tend to live longer. And not just because they're the kind of people that have the money to buy annuities to start with. It's apparently that little extra incentive of the annuity payout that keeps people going. The best article I've ever read on this subject was published a couple years ago in the Journal for Financial Service Professionals. It was written by attorney Patrick Tricker. The title of the article was Annuities and Moral Hazard. Can longevity insurance increase longevity? Here's what he found. In the United States, a 65-year-old male who purchases a life annuity can expect to live about 20% longer than a 65-year-old male who does not, and explained why people of guaranteed income live longer. They have less stress, they don't worry as much, and because they're being paid to live, guess what? Many of them choose to live differently. They watch what they eat. They exercise. They call the doctor when they're not feeling well. And all these dumb, stupid things tend to cause them to live longer. Now, I told you this was new research. There's nothing new about this. Annuities have been around for thousands of years. The Roman Empire issued annuities. See, running out of money has been the #1 concern of people ever since there's been people and there's been money. It's not a new concern. In fact, many of you had to read a book in high school or college. It was called Sense and Sensibility. It was written by Jane Austen back in 1811. Does anybody remember what Jane Austen wrote about annuities back in 1811? Well, let me refresh your memory from chapter 2. If you observe, people always live forever when there's an annuity to be paid to them. The annuity is a very serious business. It comes over and over every year, and there is no getting rid of it. She wrote that in 1811. Step number 6, you must have a plan for long-term care. No retirement plan is complete without a plan for long-term care. And Paychecks and Playchecks, I got a chapter on long-term care. You know what the chapter's titled? What's your plan? What's your plan? Because if you've ever heard me speak before, you know I brag about my plan. What's my plan? I never have to go to a nursing home ever. I get to stay in my house till the day I die. The nurse has to come to me. Why? Because I got a plan. I've got long-term care insurance with home health care. I get to stay in my house. So when people say, Tom, I don't want that nursing home insurance, I say, exactly. This is anti-nursing home insurance. This is stay-at-home insurance. This is stay-in-control insurance. When they say, yeah, but Tom, that long-term care insurance is just too expensive. Here's what I say. If you think long-term care insurance is expensive, man, you ought to try not having it. That'll wipe you out. I made my parents buy long-term care insurance 18 years ago. They didn't want to. It's too expensive. We'll never need it. It's an insurance company ripoff. My dad said all those words to me. I made them buy it. They were both in assisted living, $10,000 a month. Do you understand there were years my dad didn't make $10,000 a year? $10,000 a month. I can't imagine their retirement if they didn't have those policies. Now, some people think retirement is going to be 30 or 40 years of golf, tennis, cruises, and pickleball. That's not true. You're going to go through 3 distinct phases. Phase 1 is what I call the go-go years. Now, the go-go years, you're playing golf, you're playing tennis, you're playing pickleball, you're going on cruises. Every day it's happy hour somewhere. That's the go-go years. But make no mistake about it, the go-go years are going to be followed by the slow-go years. Now, the slow-go years, you can still do everything in the go-go. You just don't want to anymore. Fact is, you don't want to go downtown after 4:30 because dad can't see when it's dark out. That's the slow-go years. And the slow-go years are going to be followed by the no-go years. And the no-go years are those years when you're probably not leaving the building till you're leaving the building, if you know what I'm talking about. So look, the go-go years is all about income. not assets. These are the things I watch my parents go through these phases. And so most of my purchases are going for income in my go-go years. I learned that the slow-go years is all about long-term care. Here's what I say about long-term care. Any plan is better than no plan. So I sincerely hope you buy long-term care insurance. I hope you do. If you don't, I hope you buy a life insurance policy that comes with a long-term care benefit. If you're medically not qualified to get any of those, I hope you buy an annuity that springs up with a bunch of income in your 70s and 80s. Any plan is better than no plan, but you got to have a plan. And the no-go years, that's all about life insurance. Now, I get people all the time say, Tom, life insurance has nothing to do with retirement. Wrong, 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 wrong. I already told you I've been moving more of my personal wealth to cash value life insurance so I get more tax-free income. But one of the reasons people don't enjoy their retirements is they think they got to leave their kids some money. Oh, we got to leave some money to Johnny and Susie. We got to leave some money to Johnny and Susie. So they deny themselves a retirement to leave money to their kids. What do I say about that? Don't do that. All right. Let me use me as an example. We got 4 kids. So one day we're sitting around saying, how much we leave the kids? My wife said, I don't know. What do you think? I said, well, if we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids as beneficiary. When we're both gone, they're going to get $1 million tax free. That's $250,000 a piece tax free plus whatever's left over. I said, let's start there. So we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids as beneficiary. That policy is completely paid up. Do you know what the total cost of that $1 million policy was? $150,000. So now think about that. For 15 cents on the dollar, we get to transfer $1 million tax-free to our kids. But here's the best part. Who gets to spend the other $850,000? We do. Don't leave your kids money. Spend your money. Leave them life insurance. This is all about how do you get the most for the least in retirement. Step number 7, we're almost done. Use your home equity wisely. For many of you, your house is one of the largest assets that you have. There are basically 3 ways to use your home equity wisely. Number 1, so you can sell the home and downsize and move to beautiful, sunny Arizona. That's where I live. Here's what I want you to know. If you're single, you can capture up to $250,000 tax-free in capital gains. But if you're married, you can capture up to $500,000 tax-free in capital gains, and you can do that every 2 years. You can take a loan against the equity, or you can do a reverse mortgage. I don't have time to get into reverse mortgages. I will just tell you this. You're going to read many more positive articles written by very respected sources like the American College, Dr. Wade Pfau, Mary Beth Franklin, Don Graves. Just be very careful and work with a reverse mortgage expert. So here's my advice. The financial advisor you pick is so important. And just because somebody says they're a fiduciary doesn't mean they are one. If your advisor says, oh, I don't believe in annuities, I don't like them, I don't do life insurance, long-term care insurance, stay away from them. They are not acting in the best interest of their clients. They're going against all the research of the leading PhDs in the world. If all they talk about is investment, stocks, bonds, real estate, they are not risk managers. They might be good for somebody in their 20s. They're not good for somebody in their 50s, 60s, or 70s. If on the other side, if they only focus on annuities, life insurance, and long-term care insurance without any mention of any investments, they might not be right either. They may partner with somebody who does that. Same with number 1. If you have a fiduciary who says, I don't do annuities, but I refer them regularly to somebody, but then check up on that, because many of those advisors don't really refer to a lot. But if they are, that's fine. And if they only want to focus on safe money, that's fine, as long as they have somebody that they can show you with investments. See, it should never be annuities or investments. It should always be annuities and investments. So let me wrap it up this way. I can't tell you if the market's going up or if the market's going down, but I can tell you this. If you have a plan, if you work a little longer, save a little more. If you cover your basic living expenses with guaranteed lifetime income, then optimize the rest of your portfolio to protect yourself against inflation. If you maximize your Social Security benefits, have a plan for long-term care, use your home equity wisely, and use life insurance as the most efficient way to pass wealth to children, grandchildren, and charities, I do know this. Each and every one of you can have a happy and successful retirement that is based in math and science, not based on some broker's opinion. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Tom. I myself learned a lot from this presentation and definitely gave me a lot to think about. So I want to thank you again for joining us and taking the time to be a part of the Money Show and presenting today. And I want to thank the audience for joining us. And we did have a lot of questions come in that we don't have time to go over. So Tom, can you let them know how they can find you, reach out to you, follow you for more advice?
Sure. TomHegna.com. I have a free YouTube channel with hundreds of videos on there. If you want to send a question, you can send it to tom@tomhegna.com.
So thank you, everyone. That is all the time that we have today. Tom, I wish you and your family a very happy holiday season.
Thank you all.